Alright, welcome back. I just want to emphasize how we are going to make our marks on the other side of the paper. I've got my marks up at the top. I'm going to take my ruler and slide it straight down to the other side of the photo. I'm not going to flip the ruler. I'm not going to flip the paper. I'm taking it from the top, sliding it straight down. And what I'll do is I'll repeat the exact same thing I did up here on the bottom. I'll line my ruler up. The mark is lined up with the edge of the paper. And I'm going to make marks at every 1/2 inch. Same exact thing I did up top, I'm doing up on the bottom. And the reason I'm making these marks on the bottom, it is extra work, and it does take, what, 30 more seconds to do. But the reason I'm doing that is so, now that I have marks on the top and the bottom of the paper, I can easily connect the first one up top and the first one on the bottom to make a straight line. The second one on the top to the second one on the bottom to make a straight line. So, all that looks like is connecting the first at the top to the first at the bottom, making sure that my ruler touches both of those tick marks, hold my ruler still, and I've got my first line. So you're going to continue to do that, connecting each line on the top and the bottom. And do make sure that your ruler is touching both lines. If your ruler is not touching both of those lines, then it's not going to be a straight line. And so this is the step that a lot of people skip. A lot of people don't do lines on both sides because they're convinced that they know how to make a straight line. And it may seem easy to make a straight line. I'll go ahead and tell you, it saves you a lot of time and trouble to just make the marks on both sides. Okay, so I'm going to continue to do this. You can do this with me. Make sure that you're lining up both the top and the bottom. And again, I'm really making sure that that's happening. If I make crooked grid lines, then I'm going to have boxes that are going to be uneven. And basically, if I have uneven sized boxes, that's going to lead to a drawing that is not accurate and is not proportional. And I'm probably going a little bit quicker than you may be going, but I have done several of these before. And so we're going to be making lines on the other side, and that will create a grid across our photo reference. And like I said, you want all of your grid boxes to be the same size. And having straight lines takes care of that. You don't have to think about it any more than that. And you may get to a part where it's a little hard to see the marks you've made. That's why I recommend doing this in a pen or a dark graphite pencil so that this shows up over the ink a little bit. Okay. And last one. Alright, I've got all of my vertical lines. Now all I need to take care of are my horizontal lines. You're going to follow the exact same steps. You're going to line the ruler up with the edge of the paper, first line on the ruler with the edge of the paper, and you're going to make your marks at 1/2 inch increments. Make sure your ruler is straight. Continue that down the page until the end. Okay, and again, I'm not going to flip my page, I'm not going to flip my ruler, I'm simply going to take it straight down to the opposite side, line it up, and make my marks at every 1/2 inch again. Okay, all I have to do now is the same thing as I did on the other side. I'm going to be connecting this side with this side. So I will line up my first dash on this side, with the first dash on this side, straight line, first dash on this side, or sorry, second dash on this side with the second on this side, straight line, and I'm going to continue this until I've made all my grid marks. So it really pays to have an accurate grid. As I said, if you have grid boxes that are uneven in size, as you can see, all of the ones I've drawn are even in size. If you have grid boxes that are uneven, where one is a lot larger than the next one, you're going to have issues with the proportion of your drawing. Things are not going to turn out as accurately as you would like. So that's why putting in a little bit of extra time, setting up your grid to make sure that it is even, really pays off in the end. And all you're in charge of today in class is beginning this process on your photograph. And I would like for you to finish this process on your photograph. And then tomorrow, we'll spend time in class doing this on your drawing paper. Important thing to remember about today is that you're making your grid marks at every 1/2 inch. And just so you can think about what we're going to be doing tomorrow, we're going to be blowing our drawing up to twice the size of our photograph, which means if we're making our marks at every 1/2 inch on our photograph and we're blowing it up to twice the size, we're going to make our marks at every 1 inch on the drawing paper itself. And there you go. You want to make sure you have even sized boxes. You want to make sure your lines are straight. If you're seeing that your lines are off, go back and fix them and make sure they're connecting the top to the bottom tick mark, and then you will have straight lines across the board. This is the grid method. Make sure you've gridded your photographic reference by the end of today, and then we will move on to gridding our drawing on the big paper tomorrow.